Picture this. You're scrolling through a dating app at 2 a.m., unable to sleep, when suddenly your own wedding photos stare back at you. Not from your account, from your wife's. The same woman sleeping peacefully beside you, wearing the white dress you thought symbolized forever, now advertising herself as recently single and ready for adventure. That's exactly what happened to me 3 weeks ago, and what I discovered next shattered everything I believed about the woman I married. Before we dive into this nightmare, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you'll want to follow this story to its twisted end. My name is David, and 6 months ago, I thought I was living a fairy tale. Sarah and I had just returned from our honeymoon in Santorini, those perfect blue-domed churches, sunset dinners overlooking the Aegean Sea, moments that felt suspended in amber. We'd been trying to start a family, talking about converting the spare room into a nursery, picking out paint colors for walls that would hold our future. Sarah seemed different after we got back, though. Distant. Always on her phone, claiming work stress from her marketing job. She'd disappear into the bathroom for 20-minute showers, emerge with damp hair but dry skin. When I mentioned maybe starting those fertility treatments her doctor had suggested, she'd suddenly need to take important calls or remember urgent errands. Our 4-year-old nephew Tommy had stayed with us for a weekend while his parents went out of town. Sarah, who used to light up around children, seemed irritated by his presence. She kept stepping outside to check work emails while I built Lego castles and read bedtime stories. When Tommy asked if we were going to have babies soon like his friend's aunt, Sarah's smile looked painted on. The sleepless night that changed everything started innocently enough. Sarah had fallen asleep during a movie, her phone buzzing incessantly on the coffee table. Probably work, she'd mumble whenever I mentioned it. But at 2 a.m., work doesn't send notifications. Insomnia had become my unwelcome companion since our wedding, ironic, considering I should have been in newlywed bliss. So I did what any modern insomniac does, mindlessly scrolled social media, then, in a moment of curiosity about who was still single in our area, opened a dating app I'd forgotten to delete. The profile appeared after maybe 50 swipes. Sarah, Adventure 28, smiled back at me, and my blood turned to ice water. Those eyes. That laugh line by her left temple. The tiny scar above her eyebrow from childhood chickenpox. Every detail I'd memorized, now marketing herself to strangers. But the photos, God, the photos were what gutted me. Our honeymoon pictures cropped to remove any trace of me. The sunset dinner where I'd proposed a second time just because now she's alone at that table, looking wistfully at the camera. The beach where we'd promised each other forever transformed into a sultry solo photo shoot. Her bio read, "Recently out of a long relationship, rediscovering who I am. Love traveling, wine tastings, and authentic conversations. Looking for someone who appreciates adventure and isn't afraid of deep connections. Not interested in settling down or family life anytime soon. Recently out of a long relationship. We'd been married exactly 127 days. Not interested in family life, the same woman who'd cried happy tears when we'd discussed baby names just months before." My hands shook as I screenshotted everything. The timestamp showed her last active, 11 minutes ago. I glanced toward our bedroom where she slept, probably dreaming of her next adventure. Sleep became impossible. For the next 3 days, I conducted a forensic investigation of my own marriage. Credit card statements revealed charges I didn't recognize, restaurants I'd never been to, a hotel in the downtown area during a Tuesday I thought she was at work. The fertility clinic appointments we'd scheduled together had been canceled by her without telling me. I created a fake profile using photos of a model friend from college. Jake, outdoor guy, was athletic, successful, exactly the type Sarah used to point out in magazines. Within hours, she'd matched with me. The messages that followed were like reading my own obituary. She complained about feeling trapped in routine, craving genuine passion, tired of someone who never surprised her anymore. She mentioned how relieved she was to be done with all that domestic pressure and family planning nonsense. Each word was a scalpel, precise and devastating. When Jake asked about kids, she wrote, "Definitely not looking for that kind of baggage. I want freedom, not diaper changes and sleepless nights." We arranged to meet at a wine bar downtown, the same place I'd taken her for our first anniversary last month. She'd claimed to have food poisoning that night. I arrived early, positioned myself in a corner booth with a clear view of the entrance. Sarah walked in wearing the black dress I'd bought her for our anniversary dinner she'd supposedly been too sick to attend. She looked radiant, alive in a way I hadn't seen in months. She scanned the room, clearly looking for Jake. Her phone buzzed, my message saying I was running late, describing what I was wearing. She found my booth, started walking over with that confused smile she got when something didn't quite compute. "David, what are you doing here?" Waiting for my wife to explain why she's meeting strange men from dating apps. The color drained from her face like water from a broken vase. She sat down slowly, her purse clutched like a shield. "How did you find your profile?" "Easy enough when you're using our honeymoon photos to advertise yourself." I placed my phone on the table, her profile still open. "Care to explain why you're recently single when we just celebrated our 6-month anniversary? And why you told Jake that kids were baggage when we've been trying to conceive?" What followed was a masterclass in deception unraveling. First came denial. Those weren't our photos. I was being paranoid. Then bargaining. She'd only created the profile for validation, never intended to meet anyone. Finally, the truth leaked out like poison from a punctured wound. She'd been seeing someone from work for 2 months. The profile was her way of exploring options while keeping our marriage as a safety net. The man she'd been messaging wasn't even the only one. The fertility appointments? She'd been using birth control the entire time we'd been trying. "I love you," she said, tears finally appearing, "but I feel like I married you too young before I knew who I really was." "You're 28, Sarah. And you knew exactly who you were when you made those wedding vows, when you pretended to want children with me." People change, David. I need to figure out what makes me happy. What makes you happy is apparently lying to your husband while planning dates with other men using photos from our honeymoon, and lying about wanting a family while secretly preventing one. The conversation dissolved into accusations and justifications. She claimed I'd become complacent, that our marriage lacked excitement. I pointed out that excitement requires effort from both people, not secret dating profiles. She admitted she'd never really wanted children. That was just what she thought I wanted to hear. The final blow came when she admitted this wasn't her first time. 3 weeks after our wedding, she'd kissed a colleague at a work party. "It didn't mean anything," she insisted, the phrase every cheater uses when meaning becomes inconvenient. I left her at that wine bar, surrounded by the life she'd chosen over our marriage. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Sarah tried damage control for weeks, flowers, letters, promises to delete all dating apps and recommit to us. She even claimed she was ready to start trying for kids for real this time. But trust, once shattered, leaves cuts that never quite heal properly. Every future conversation would carry the weight of her deception. Every work dinner would trigger suspicion. Every discussion about family would echo with her lies. The divorce finalized last month. Sarah got the house. I didn't want to live in a place where I'd been unknowingly sharing my wife with strangers from the internet, where I dreamed of filling empty rooms with children's laughter that would never come. Sometimes betrayal comes with obvious signs: lipstick on collars, mysterious phone calls, classic movie cliches. Sometimes it comes disguised as your own wedding photos on someone else's dating profile, your sacred memories repurposed as bait for her next adventure. Sometimes it's discovering that the family you thought you were building together was just another lie in an elaborate performance. The hardest part wasn't losing Sarah, it was realizing I'd never actually had her. The woman who'd smiled through fertility discussions while secretly taking birth control, who'd played house while shopping for other players, who'd worn white and promised forever while already planning her escape. If this story resonated with you, or if you faced similar betrayals, share your experiences in the comments. And subscribe for more real stories that prove truth is often stranger than fiction.